Welcome to Setnotes, the podcast that explores the art and craft of short-form filmmaking, and I'm your host, Ian Murray. Today we have Yousef and Jake, two filmmakers who met at a university film production course and have since crafted a unique body of work in music videos, short films, and commercials. In this episode, we'll discuss their journey from student filmmakers to establishing their own style and achieving commercial success. They'll share insights about their early projects, their move to London, and how they ultimately built their own filmmaking community, the most effective route to success in today's filmmaking landscape. We also break down memorable campaigns from the BBC iPlayer project to the iconic Old Spice and Paloma Monster music video. Plus, we'll touch on their relationships with DPs and producers, views on industry specialization, and what the future holds. So let's welcome Yousef and Jake to Setnotes. Action. So welcome guys, welcome. This is wonderful to have you here. This is the first kind of group discussion we've ever had on Setnotes, so thank you for coming.
We only come as a pair.
Yeah.
Can't disconnect us.
So you've been, your whole career has pretty much been a pair, hasn't it, I guess?
Well, yeah. It started off as a pair and we may have drifted, at times and worked apart, but we try not to because it's quite upsetting to do.
Emotionally upsetting.
No, we really enjoy working together, and it's just, he understands me and I understand him, so we don't have to
Sounds like a relationship.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think sometimes even like that, our partners have often worried like what really goes on those away jobs, but we won't talk about that too.
So let's go back to the beginning, right? Yeah. So I mean, I don't actually know, but I should say that we have worked together before, so we kind of know each other. I know Jake a little bit better now because recently we did a job together. And he returns my calls. But I was wondering. So background-wise, what part of the UK?
I'm from Leeds.
From Leeds,
yeah. And I'm from Stockport.
Stockport, right?
South Manchester.
South Manchester, yeah.
Know where that is.
And how did you guys first meet?
So we met at university. We were in the same film production course, and then I think one day there was a project on, and Yousef needed a writer. And I think someone that he wanted to work with didn't want to do it. So I was a second choice. And then we ended up becoming best friends from there and working together on, for the last 8 years now, I guess.
Yeah, I always kind of knew he was like a funny guy. So I was like, he's kind of right for this.
Funny, funny, weird.
Kind of like funny, a bit of both.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was kind of like it had this dry humor, which we were really going to go for that project. And yeah, it just ended up with the right person. But I don't think we'd really worked together before that, so like I wasn't sure. And this felt like kind of like a big student project to do.
Was that your graduation project?
It was like the second year project.
Yeah, and
it was almost like a commission outside of that, but we made it also like our thing in class.
Yeah,
so
it was the first time I'd ever had a budget to work with, like on a professional level with a label. So that was kind of exciting because I think in our sort of university class, like Yousef was the only person I knew that was somehow getting like commissions or at least pitching on stuff to labels, and I was like, that's amazing that you're doing that already. And I was like, I want a bit of that. I want to get involved.
Where did that instinct come? Where did that kind of knowledge come to do that? Was that
So I get bored very quickly, but also I was doing music videos before I had finished college, and I went into music videos, but still very like sort of lightly working on those like brand jobs.
Directing?
Yeah, directing, yeah. And I was doing like the one-man band sort of thing, like doing all the post myself, learning along the way, but I couldn't shoot anything myself, and I wasn't a great producer, not very organized. So when I got to uni, I was still doing those projects, and we had met a few people there.
You were doing a film course at uni?
Yes.
Yeah. What was the film course?
It was film production.
Yeah. So it's quite general in a way, but there was opportunities to do. You could specialize a bit in, there was additional sort of modules you could do. For example, I don't know if you did it with me, but there was like a screenwriting module.
I did that, yeah.
So that was like sort of where it really captured me, because I was always into writing, but that's where it really captured me. The tutor there, he put a lot of time into the class, and I think if you showed willing, that meant a lot to him, and he then wanted to give you more time and got into a lot more detail. And sort of, Headless is one of them jobs that like he really, helped on in terms of helping me write in terms of the process, not necessarily the creative, but the process and
the format and stuff.
Yeah, and that was the first time I'd really had someone show me this is how you should write a script, not necessarily what you should write about, but you know how you should formulate. And
so this is a second year of a degree course of it.
Yeah,
so a 3 years degree course.
Yeah.
And were you specialising in the second year? Were you specialising as a writer, or was it?
In a way, we were not specialising.
It was just different like modules, and each one felt very different. Like you could do screenwriting one, also doing like an editing one.
Yeah,
there was an adaptations one that we did where you'd adapt something. That's where this one came out of.
Yeah, we're looking a weird range of stuff. Actually,
yeah, so I guess even when you had finished, you don't really find like your specialism. I think when you did in the second year, they did this like feature film course. Then everybody had like a certain role. Like you'd have a line producer, a couple of directors, editors, VFX people.
So all your colleagues would become
filmmakers. Yeah, it felt like a whole year sort of like production sort of stuff.
Yeah,
and
that was the third year.
That was second year, right?
Or is it third year? I can't remember.
I don't feel like we ended on that.
No, maybe it was second.
Going back to the Heads film, you got a commission for that? Outside of...
Yeah, it was kind of like quite convenient because at the time, I was on like this website and they were trying to commission a music video that had like a documentary feel, and I was like, okay, well, maybe we can turn this into something for the class we're doing, and have.
Were you the only one in your year to do that? It sounds quite kind of...
Yeah. I guess people didn't really know what was possible. Maybe they're not.
I'm thinking back to when I was at college, and I'd had no idea about doing that.
That was me. Yeah, I was a bit. I wasn't really sure how to get in there with the labels. Yeah. I did admire that. I was like, I was like shocked at how someone that was on like sort of a level playing field was managing to get sort of a foot in the door there. And even just pitching on stuff, I was like, I want to be pitching on stuff with you, and that's sort of what happened.
So and this had a budget attached to it.
Yeah. I mean, now I can't believe that we made it on that budget.
You get away with it when you're at university and you've got all the equipment for free, everyone's working for free because it's part of your course as well. And I think we only really paid for visual effects. Yeah. All locations, as we'll see, are like just in a student house that we were living in. All our and that helped us out for free. And what else? We also,
I guess we got
in the actual uni office little section. Yeah, so they really helped us out and stuff. Mainly with.
Did we pay the actors?
Yeah, we did. Yeah.
Do you want to line it out, Chris? We should have a look at it.
Yeah, because the talent we got, like we were so over the moon that these guys wanted to be in our student film. Like these were actors that we admired, like from Misfits and from like This Is England. Yeah, we were over the moon to get these guys.
So we wanted to do like a reveal here. So this is the student house that I was living in at the time.
So when you wrote it, Jake, does it pretty much end up on screen what you wrote, or did you go for any revisions? And
well, I must say as well, there's a girl, Heather, a good friend of ours, who was also in the writing room with me. We sort of similar. She was a northern girl, and we all had that sort of northern mentality and humour.
We're at uni up north as well.
Yeah, I think it kind of just like, I know it's a cliche, but it like wrote itself. We had the idea and we had these certain like moments, but it kind of grew as we wrote it.
Fit everything in there because I think we wanted a gig scene where it's being passed around.
Like crowd surfing.
That's really technical. Yeah. We did that in a later music video actually. But we tried to make it like a backstory about being in Blackpool because we weren't too far from there as well. I think originally I came up to Jake and Heather and I had an idea, but I'm not very good at writing dialogue. So I can come up with like a few characters, but these guys really fleshed it out.
Yeah, it felt like it came from our mouth, like the way that we speak.
Is any of this found footage or was this...
this was just like from like YouTube, and I had done like some VFX on it, and they sent us like some pictures and stuff. I've not seen this in a very long time. But...
Yeah, this we shot.
And was it always the interest for you, Yousef? Was it always the fact that it was going to require post to get it?
Yes. So I had to sort of learn along the way and make mistakes, and sometimes it's a bit rough and stuff.
Can you could we go back to the beginning again? Can you break it down as to what techniques you used and how it's put together for the... I think it'll be really worthwhile for our listeners to hear.
So this is made up of a lot of different shots.
Yeah.
So we've got the background shot, and then we've got a body double who's got their legs open. And then we've got like another plate, which is the legs. And then
So wait, a body double who's got their legs open.
yes, so that Nathan, the actor, can have his
Can be
sit
sat on the
between
floor.
the legs. So the
So
shadows and
so
the hands.
torso is someone with their legs,
like spread, and then he's sat,
and he's sat between. So hang on. So now,
Nathan is like, his head is really there, and it's being held by
by the body double. Yeah.
But then we have to shoot the legs separately of the body double.
So so none of that was on the sofa, right? You just had the body double.
It was on the sofa, just to make sure the light.
The body double's on the sofa.
The body double's on the sofa. Nathan's on the sofa.
So you cut a hole in the sofa to get.
No. He's like just literally sat in front of him.
Oh right.
That's why it's kind of like a bit
a bit forward.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. Right.
And he's like, at that time as well, like he was a really well-known actor. We really liked a lot of the work that he was in.
Yeah.
We were just like, come to the student house and put your head in between his legs.
Yeah.
and it, again, it was just like a lovely northerner that just like really wanted to be involved in this film, which for us at the time was, I found it like the most motivating thing to hear from an actor that I really admired, to be sat in Pizza Hut with us. And I was like, how come? I was just sat to him, I was like, how come you like wanted to get involved in this? And he was like, oh, I just loved the script. Like when you sent me, I thought the script, and I was like, to hear someone compliment my writing was like it was just a really important moment for me to feel that. And I guess like it just, me and a really good friend that I'd made, and we were like 19, and it was just like a really lovely, the whole thing was just a lovely project to work on. Everyone that worked in it was just like, was great. It was only maybe 5 of us that made it, I guess.
So you're kind of developing your sort of film family at the time.
Yeah.
So we were talking about this. I was talking about this with Raj earlier.
Yeah.
Having kind of like doing it kind of, you're the DIY generation.
Yeah.
Along, and you kind of find collaborators to work with.
Yeah.
And it becomes fun, right? Because you're doing it with your mates, right?
Yeah, I think that's what like I guess I spoke to you about it before on set. It's like I always want to make sure I never lose the reason why I started making films, which was because me and my friends enjoyed doing that and then showing each other whatever stupid stuff we'd made. So yeah.
Let's just rewind that one. So just talk us through the toothbrush. That's just
Toothbrush maybe is a bit easier.
Yeah.
Because that's all real, but then we shot with a clean plate.
Yeah.
And then you just get rid
get rid of the body. Yeah.
And it's quite easy. I think we took quite a while to develop of like how we'd actually do it. Because again,
were you at this time? Were you kind of involved in post quite heavily?
I was just doing very rough, like small post jobs.
Did you always know that was the direction you were going to go in?
It was kind of like out of necessity. I didn't really know how to do it. I just kind of had to learn along the way. But a lot of the ideas I was coming up with at the time were very post related. Because I was like, well, I can't really afford.
So
there's no obsession. I just like do some post in the corner.
So you imagine kind of surrealist situations or kind of comic situations, and
that's something that felt like it didn't have any bounds, even though it was rough. But I couldn't really afford to have the real thing. Do you know what I mean? So we couldn't shoot motion control and stuff. So everything's locked off, which really fits the documentary. Anyway.
Right, absolutely. Yeah, you sort of lean into the aesthetic of it. Yeah. So again, that's just doing an empty plate and
we did think about doing green screen, but it's like you're not going to get the shadows, you're not going to get the lighting right, and like that. I remember we did shoot a bit of green screen where his head was going to be like in a microwave. Like in the staff room, and we just never ended up using it.
So without green screen, does that mean you're rotoscoping the body out?
Yes. So keying out the background and
Cool.
So a few of these actors we'd worked with after this as well, because it was kind of like a small pool of actors. Yeah. So it wasn't just crew that we kept working with at the time when we were there. We were like working with like.
And so that one there, so the head's off.
So just clean plates again.
Clean plates,
Clean plates and
lots of camera clean plates. Yeah.
The actor wasn't there because it's a different day, so we only had them for one day.
Oh right.
So that's just a body double, but.
Yeah, it's great. Again, in lots of camera clean plate.
I think one thing that was quite important to me was like the authenticity. So even like at the start where you have like these production design bits of like photos and where he's got like his home movie and stuff. We can't really afford to do that like properly, so we just try our best and over the. for the best, really.
So it becomes part of the aesthetic, doesn't it? It becomes part of the kind of charm of the piece is the fact that you can see it's a little bit rough around the edges, and it's got this kind of like this kind of homemade quality to it.
Yeah.
This is one of my favourite scenes.
I don't even know how we did that, really, because it's like we think got a hole through
I thought, I assumed you got a hole through
there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't.
I have a memory
I
of
think
how
we
that's done.
might have just done it on the edge,
And then
so we get a reflection.
Yeah. So he's right on the edge of the table, and you bring him forward.
Yeah, and this was like a 5-minute take, and it just kept going and going. But I was like, this is like, we had been working with like sort of like local actors who were probably like just doing like a few small jobs in short films and stuff. So this felt like very Hollywood for us to work with like people who'd been in stuff, and 2 people who were really good at improv as well. So like,
so this is improvised, is it, this scene?
partially, I think we had some stuff scripted, but we just said like you can riff on it.
Yeah, I kind of fed a few lines to him, and sort of, I just said to him, just feed off that. And I think he sort of developed in acting with Shane Meadows, so he was very much used to that directing style, or at least acting style, where you're fed A to B of what the scene needs to.
He's the one on This Is England.
Yeah.
I thought I recognised him.
And this take is so long because there's stuff happening in the background, but we haven't really lit it properly, so we can't really like highlight it too much.
And that was just...
This was all like improvised. I think we didn't even know we were going to do this on the day. We were just like, let's fill up. Like, I think when we had a budget, but we also still had like student problems in terms of like, our production is not that much organized. So like, we didn't have contracts, we didn't have agreements with the places we were going to go to. So we turn up and be like, oh, we don't have this ready. So like, we just had to sort of get creative.
Yeah, that's why we were at Pizza Hut, because we didn't have any catering. So we just said, do you want to go get a Pizza Hut? Because it's the only place me and Yousef eat. Yeah.
Typical student.
Yeah.
So this is the end line. Was that scripted?
I think it was, yeah.
Come in the edit as well, but I think maybe we felt like we didn't have an ending or something.
Yeah, no, there was a point where I was like, I can't, because I wanted to just keep writing it. Like, there was just more and more. I just wanted to make this whole thing that was like just different scenes that were funnier, like what he could do if he didn't have a head. And then, in the end, I thought, do you know what? It would be funny if you just like that old thing of, grass is always green on the other side. But, having your head still working, why would you want to get it reattached? Like, what's he going to benefit from? So,
he sort of hates it.
Yeah,
that really made me laugh.
Yeah.
The timing of it was brilliant.
Yeah, he's great, and that's what I was saying. Like, their performances were so good, and it was like felt so different to anything we had before, and I think that helped it stand out.
The space there. Yeah, very good.
Yeah,
originally we wanted Joe Gilgan for the same reasons as well. Just like somebody who's really good at like improv, who had that style, and
well, seeing them two together on Misfits, Joe Gilgan and Nathan, like
also he was on This Is England as well.
Yeah.
So how was this received then at your college, and where did it go from there? Did you get it?
Yeah,
on YouTube.
So the good thing about university was that they were really, really great at encouraging and paying for your films to enter into festivals. And they did a lot for us in terms of they were putting our stuff into everywhere. And
flew out to Ibiza for the Ibiza Video Festival.
Yeah,
it's a great experience.
Yeah. And coming down to London for like different award shows, and it was really well received, and it ended up like loads of people were interested in trying to develop it into something bigger, and we had meetings and stuff about that, and nothing ever really came off. And to be honest, I don't know if it could develop into a longer form thing, even though I'd love to. I think it should live as that.
Yeah,
I don't really know if the joke could have really been dragged out. Yeah. I think it sort of lives at that.
It feels like a short film.
Yeah. But it's something that like still to this day we like to talk about a lot.
And so you also made a third year film.
We did make a film called The
Together?
Life of the Party, right?
Oh,
which I wrote. Yeah. So I wrote another film which was sort of like we were hoping it would be as popular as this, which it wasn't, but it was.
I wasn't directing, but
no,
Ryan,
I wrote it. Yeah.
I was just there on set. I think it was Buffalo.
Yeah, the magic wasn't there. So that's the thing.
No, but to be honest, our other sort of like closest friend from university, he directed it.
Maybe that was my involvement. I was like,
and it was good, but it didn't stand up, I don't think, against like with this. It was cool. It was kind of Black Mirror-esque. Black Mirror the first series just come out, and everyone was wanting to make something Black Mirror-esque, and we tried to do that, and I think the idea is good. I just don't think we executed it that well, but that happens.
So
That felt like more of a student.
Yeah,
right,
A bit better, like
a
than
bit technically better,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
not as. There's something about having innocence that when you, because I had a film I first shot actually to get into. I got into like a filmmaking access course because I didn't have the qualification to get onto a degree, so I had to do an access course, and I had to make a film to get onto this access course, and I shot a Super 8 film, and it's just this really innocent film that I made with my next door neighbour and a mate of mine on Super 8, and it's still, it has a place in my heart. Do you know what I mean? Because it's kind of had an innocence to it, but it showed a kind of a DNA of what the stuff I was interested in that later on in life, but when I look at it now, after so many years, it still feels to me that there was sort of a kind of technical skill to it, and that there was elements to it that demonstrated the kind of direction I was going to go in. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So it's funny because as a director, I would imagine you start with kind of like instinct, and then as you get more established, you get more into the craft of filmmaking, and you get into craft, and you start kind of, in a way, you get comfortable with craft, and that's obviously a good thing, and that's just development of being a filmmaker. But the instinct sometimes suffers a little bit because you've got the craft now to sort of fall back on. You don't take maybe the risks you take when you're younger, and you have just the instinct to go on. So there's something about, I think, looking at early work, which I really love, particularly here with Setnotes, when you can see a kind of like a voice already there with a filmmaker, and you can see that sort of develop in the later work.
Yeah, I think the other thing on that as well is, like with Headless, is that there was no one that had an involvement in it other than us. Like there was no client, there was no, even though it was through a label, I don't remember speaking to them once. Like I think they just said, here's a little bit of money, can you make something? And then we just delivered them something and they loved it. And that was just like, I've forgotten how that feels to not have, it's just someone that you have to, can you review this edit? Can you give us notes? We need to make sure we tick this box and this box on this. We just sort of sat in the library and just laughed about like the different scenes, and then we thought, all right, let's make it next week. So I kind of forgotten about the beauty of
the freedom.
The freedom of having that is like something which I guess and that's you lose one day.
That thing gets beaten out of you when you enter into the real world, right? And there's money there, and clients, and agency, and all the political kind of structure. Yeah. That's what shocks people when they first come onto a film set.
Sure, yeah.
Dusty, the driver, like, yeah. When I first used him, because he doesn't come from, as you can tell, he's filmmaking, and he, drove long distance trucks around Europe for like 50 years or whatever. And the first time I used him on a job, we were doing a McDonald's commercial, and we had this little burger in this massive studio, Black Island, and we're shooting burgers in there. So we had this burger kind of all lit with loads of C-stands around it, and I can see him standing right at the back of the stage, and he's a little bit nervous because he doesn't really know what's going on. He's sort of standing there just looking for 2 days, and the second day comes up to me, goes, all of this for that little fucking burger?
I bet he was just wanting to munch it.
Yeah, exactly.
He was like, is that catering?
Yeah. I'm surprised he didn't take a bite out of it. Yeah, but so anyway, so this is your kind of your second year film, third year film. And then you leave university. Where was your university, by the way?
In Preston.
Preston, right?
Yeah.
University of Central Lancashire.
So do you move down to London at that point? Was that?
Well, we graduated and we were like, all right, what do we do now? And then we won a job in LA. Like Yousef wrote a concept for this, what would you call it? It was sort of like a
electronic band. They're kind of like electronic.
Yeah, and it was like a documentary music.
Yeah, they wanted something that was similar to the previous one. That
we don't have this to look at.
Well, it never made it to the screen. Sadly, it was amazing.
It was an amazing experience as well. It was.
So you shot it, but you didn't.
Yeah.
We finished it.
We filmed Tommy the Clown in the South Central LA, and essentially
Tommy the Clown.
Yeah, he's like a crumping dancer from like 2000.
Right. Cool.
And he gets people out of gangs and that sort of lifestyle. And
ex-prison members.
Clown makeup, and they just go around dancing, and he's like a huge local celebrity. And we were just driving around.
It was a great subject. Yeah.
And all the kids were sort of going crazy for him.
There's a really big community visual.
And this is a music video.
This was a music video, yeah. And it was like the first half of it was like him, like he was talking about his like prison experience, and everyone was like traditionally crumping. So it's kind of like aggressive and stuff like that. And then the second half, they all put their makeup on, and then they're doing this thing called clowning, which is like crumping and with like sort of like clown makeup on. And I just really loved it. And I remember editing it had like the first edit on the flight back, something. Yeah, but for some reason they went quiet and then they canned it, and I was like, I can't even share it. But
yeah, that's hard.
well, yeah.
When you put so much, because you put so much kind of your own energy into something, not be able to show it to people at the end.
And the story that we covered was amazing. Like me and Yousef, you know, two boys from.
I do that all the time, man.
Yeah, two boys from like the north, sort of going to LA, and just, you know, did you been to America before at that point? So we landed there, and like from the second we landed, we just drove straight to like Compton and just met these guys, and the sort of me and Yousef in the back, and one of them had recently come out of prison, and he'd left the sort of gang scene that he was in through Thami, who'd brought him out of it, and he's just this amazing dancer, and he was just like, yeah, so this one here is a bullet wound, and this one here is like, and then next thing they're like dancing in the middle of the street.
It felt really real, like slightly terrifying to be there.
Yeah.
But also like we didn't have any, what are they called? Like the release form? Not release forms, like the...
Yeah, the producer said to me, he went, "Oh, do you mind getting all these people to sign a release form?" And I'm there, and I'm like going over with my strange accent, and I was like, "Excuse me, would you mind signing this?" It's like someone with a bottle of Jack Daniels, and it's like 11 in the morning. And I'm like, "Would you mind signing this release form for something you have no idea?" And they were like, "Yeah, sure." And I was like, "Also, please, can I use your toilet?" And I was just like so scared, but it was cool. It was an experience.
Yeah.
So and
the police got called on us at some point.
Yeah.
We didn't have
we had nothing. We didn't have any visas to work there or anything.
So all those gangsters and the police come for you.
Yeah.
Well, when he comes he comes really loud. He's almost like an ice cream truck. He's got this Hummer, and it's like decked out with his face and colors, and everyone dances, and he's got giant speakers. And everyone knows that he's there on the street. So people were disturbed, and they hadn't been warned that we were going to be filming anything. It's very like run and gun guerrilla documentary style. And then people would be like calling the police, like, "There's these people bothering us."
Yeah.
So
wow. I mean, it's like
I did it with him.
A fully art directed cast music video, isn't it? Just call this guy up, and he turns up with his ice cream van with his clown makeup on, dancing for you. I mean, man, you just got to point the camera in the right direction, haven't you? Really?
Yeah, we did meet some amazing people just like that were connected to the members of the dance group, and you know, there was young people there that hopefully will never now go into that other path because they've got this other outlet now. And like it was beautiful, and we like interviewed, you know, people's mums and people's dads and talked about how it was growing up where they were. And you know, I'd never been, you know, it was like we were in a film ourselves, like we were just so.
And how did this come about then? Was it another commission that you?
I commissioned. I didn't commission it. I pitched on it. Nathan James Tetty was actually the commissioner on it.
Yeah.
It's like one of the sort of last things he did before he finally.
So you've always been quite good at kind of getting out there and just finding work, basically.
Yeah, it was mainly through like commissioning websites. I didn't have any reps at the time. Yeah. I couldn't really get much attention.
So these are, can you name any of the websites?
Yeah, there was one that was called like Radar Music Videos, but I don't think it exists anymore.
Right.
Creative Commission is the one that still goes, is still sort of active.
Yeah.
But they cover a lot of stuff. So it'd be like, you can do live sessions, artwork, 3D work, anything that a music artist would need.
Do you still go onto those websites?
Sometimes, not for music videos or anything like that, mainly for design.
Right.
Possibly like just once a year or something, you might find something interesting.
Yeah.
And that like helps build connections in the music industry.
Right. Interesting. Yeah. It's like beats having an agent almost, because it puts you in the driving seat.
Yeah. You just choose which one you want to pitch on.
Yeah.
And then you do it.
Yeah. Very good. So what was the reasons why you couldn't show it? Why did they shut it down?
They said they had a change of heart, right? The artist.
They just said they wanted to go to Notting Hill and shoot a music video there.
And that wasn't to involve you guys?
No, they just sort of shot it on like Handycam and just edited sort of a bit of a. I mean, you know, it's their music.
It fits the track as well, but what we shot was fit the track as well. We had made the really specific mood board as well, mood film before we shot it.
Yeah, matched perfectly.
Yeah, it was like shot for shot, like the same as we wanted.
So they knew what they were going to get. When
we delivered what was required. It wasn't that what we'd made wasn't to scratch. They just they just had a change of heart of
Well,
what they
that's
wanted.
quite a lesson in the industry, isn't it? That, you know, even when you think you kind of nailed something and you've got something for your show reel. then
Yeah,
you
it's
go
happened to
down
us a few
yeah.
times.
So you, presumably they wouldn't even let you show on your show reel then.
No, it's not like any private at the moment.
Right.
But yeah, it's kind of like different from like other work, so I don't
Yeah.
really feel like I
Right.
need to show it to any clients or anything like
Okay.
that anyway.
So what happened after that then?
Well, I guess I moved, like the producer on it said to me, like, look, what do you want to do? Like, what are you trying to do? Like, we'd obviously just finished university, and I said, look, I'm do this, I do that, and I just want to, like, you know, get into film. So he said, if you can move to London, and you can start working with me. And so I just, when I landed back from LA,
The producer.
yeah, so the producer was like, I do music videos in London, so I was like, I got back to Leeds from LA, and I just filled my little Fiesta up with all my belongings and just came to London and started working in music videos. And whilst I was there, Yousef was still up in Manchester, but we were pitching every night. We were just finishing another.
We just have long phone calls.
I would sometimes fall asleep on them because I'd been working at this pub from like 6 p.m. till like 2 a.m. working in the pub, and then getting up and like doing pre-production from like 7 a.m. till 6 again. And then Yousef was like, oh, when you get back from your pub shift tonight, can we finish this?
Brainstorming ideas.
So I'd be trying to be like creative and like laughing and whatever. And then I remember I'd sometimes just fall asleep and you'd be like, hello. But we were pitching pictures.
So you were working during the day in a production company?
Yeah. So freelancing, but for the same people. So mostly like production managing was the role that I was doing. And I was also first ADing, and then also trying to write my sort of passion projects, like narrative stuff.
And you were working in a pub as well?
Yeah, so the pub was on my street, and they were just like the loveliest people. They sort of said, I told them my situation. I said, look, I just can't afford to be in London, and I really want to be because I'm trying to do this film thing. And they said, look, if you can be flexible with us, as in if we need an extra person last minute, can you run round? And also, if you get a shoot come in and you need to not be on your shift,
Perfect.
So they were amazing.
Job,
they were lovely, and they would like make you a meal when you arrived for free.
What part of London was this?
This was in Ealing.
Right.
So I lived there for 2 years when I first moved, and
yeah,
it was hard, but you know, it was.
What production company were you working for?
So there were a production company called Yellowfish. So Luke Biggins, who passed away a couple of years ago, he was one of the first people I met, and he really showed me the ropes, and I've got a lot to thank him for. And you know, he really did show me the ropes. And yeah, I don't know if you know Luke, he was a DOP and director and ran Yellowfish Group, and yeah, I mean, he really gave me this confidence. You know, he would say, I'll come round for dinner tonight after we'd finished pre-production, and cook me dinner, and he was just an amazing guy. And
it sounds like a really good mentor.
Yeah, it was great. It was great.
Yeah, wonderful. Yeah, so I was talking to Raj earlier that when someone sees something in you that you don't necessarily know, you know, you have
that was it,
potential yet, and they see that potential, it really ignites something inside you, doesn't it?
Yeah, someone that you admire. You know, I really admired him, and when he was, you know, compliment, oh, you did great. And it's like just hearing them things like earlier about the headless, like sometimes you do just need someone that you really admire in the film industry to say, oh, you did great there. And then it kind of you kind of think, oh, all this like stress and hard work is worth it, and it pushes you to keep going. And
it's being seen and being, you know, confirmed that you're actually on the right path.
Yeah.
So should we go on to the next bit? So Frisco, is that Frisco 1, 2, 3?
Yeah, I don't know if that was slightly before LA or not. We were still at uni at that time.
So do you
I was editing a job that had a lot of stock footage, so I had access to a website. And I was like, we're both kind of frustrated that we weren't doing anything and we just finished. So we're like, okay, I felt like it was the final day or something. Yeah, doing a presentation. I was like, shit, I gotta leave. And I got him as well. And we went into the studio. We had like a green screen studio, and we just put a camera on him. And we had a DP friend of ours called Joe. And he was, he helped us light it and frame everything. I had edited it beforehand.
So was the idea kind of fully fleshed out at the time when you got into
This was intended to be like a spec thing, because we're like, we can't like write this and get a commission. No one's going to pay us to make this. It's a bit weird and silly. Let's just make it because we're just bored and frustrated. We made it, we sent it to them, and then they loved it. Said, yeah, let's put it up. Like it's an easy win for them.
So this is like the beginning of your sort of style, I'd say.
Yeah.
I mean, I was thinking of words.
Well, this was again like that whole full control thing. So I've got like access to like thousands of shots of stock footage. no one's telling me what I can and can't do in terms of a client because they're not even involved with this. So I'm like, okay, we've got plenty of time for post, and I can just include as many weird ideas as I can.
Yeah, it feels like a kind of like, do you know Martin Parr, the photographer?
No,
Oh, he's
I might have seen like
he does
work.
kind of, yeah, he sort of celebrates sort of UK working class life, and he just has this very kind of candid, very colourful kind of sort of documentary type shots of people, and it's usually very bright. He uses a ring flash, so everything's really bright and stuff. It sort of reminded me a little bit of that. But what I was going to talk to you about was this sort of because I was trying to think of a way of describing your work, and it's like a kind of comic, kind of surrealist sort of post-pop mashup type thing is the closest I could get to it.
Yeah.
And then I started looking at, I think, have you heard of meta moderna?
No, I haven't. I usually use the term like magical realism.
Oh,
especially
okay.
you know, when we started out with Headless, that's what it really felt like.
Yeah, magical realism, interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
And he's into more like social realism.
Right.
So I always thought like if we ever made something together, it'd be like a social
magical realism.
Yeah. Laser.
Interesting, yeah. Yeah, because I like to use the term magical realism as well in terms of the way I like to light things. To kind of have something that looks real but has a certain kind of magic to it.
Yeah, yeah.
So usually for me, it's like what the light's doing in a certain environment, and if you can get a chink of light doing something unusual, something unexpected, like a visual puzzle or something, I always find that's the magic. You know, it's finding something, something relatable but has some kind of sense of magic to it. But yeah, going back to the meta moderna, it's a phrase that I've never heard of. So it's like postmodern. So it's like the age, like, you know, modernism was the age of radio, for example. Postmodern was the age of television.
Yeah.
And now in the age of the internet, and that's described as a kind of meta moderna, where you kind of like, it is a mashup of kind of all these different cultural tropes, and has that kind of what's it called, meme quality to it. Yeah. So anyway, so seeing that work, to me it shows the beginning of your sense of humor and your kind of like sort of the absurdity, comic kind of imaginative kind of thing. Yeah. So the next one, indoor pets being strange. So this is definitely a development into your post skills. So do you want to talk us through this?
Yeah. So again, like super low budget. So what can you do? Let's try and do something that feels authentic. And I had this idea of doing something that felt a bit more user generated content, like they were doing a lot at that time. And I think TikTok had just come out. So we were doing a lot of vertical video and shooting it authentically with like webcams and phones. So we wanted to shoot it properly, but also I didn't know how to do any 3D. So I just had to learn along the way, but also to speed things up, I worked with like a lot of 3D artists, and a lot of this stuff is from like Instagram and stuff that people that I worked with during this time.
So hang on, so let's break this down. So you when you say you work with other artists, is there a community of artists that you're?
Yeah, so we didn't really go to like a post house or anything like this. So we just worked with like, I type in like on Instagram on the hashtag like CG artist, see who I'd like, and then sort of ask them if they would, you know.
So you DM them and then just
and we did.
So you built your own community of post people.
Yeah, and we still work with them now.
They were like specialists in their own field.
Wow, this is so interesting. Yeah. It's ingenious, man. It's like, it's really entrepreneurial.
But it's also like out of necessity.
Yeah, but that's where some of the great ideas come from, isn't it? I mean, so you can't afford a post house, so you go onto Instagram, you find people's work you like, you approach them, and then you end up producing.
Just like bedroom wizards, you know? And we still, they're all around the world, and we still work with them now. Like,
because they all have their own charm and stuff, and that was quite important to this one in particular. And Jake was filming this along with our friend Guy, and we went to this the forum, isn't it?
Yeah, in Tunbridge Wells.
And it was just like, we filmed empty stuff, and the band was just performing, and we were just like, okay, we had to come. Even like one of the band members who was quite savvy with like 3D, so he was like helping us render stuff out for us. And it's all like very rough and stuff, but I think the ideas are there. And especially
we were in green morph suits, right?
And
we were crowd surfing him.
Like, we were just like a float, and that's our friend Guy who also filmed it, and it's a bit like scrappy and stuff, but we really like it, especially like the ending. It goes back to that authenticity thing. Like, it's kind of funny to tell a bit of a story about these crazed fans and stuff.
Yeah, it's wonderful. Let's watch it
like-
one more time, Sue. Chris, can we? Yeah.
So this was all in Guy's house. Like, that's his mum and dad drawer.
Right. So let's go. So when you found these, so each of the kind of characters, they're all different creators?
Although I think some of them had already been pre-made by them, or they hadn't used them.
Yeah.
So
it's kind of like,
and we just comped them into different scenes.
Yeah. So it's kind of like a box of sort of.
Yeah, like what have you got left over?
Yeah, lots of leftovers that you threw into.
Like we can turn it into something.
Yeah.
We managed to get things a bit cheaper that way.
Yeah.
And we went on like various websites and found like mainly through like Instagram, and sometimes I did a few things along the way.
I mean, it's a joy to watch, but it's also a joy to hear about how you put it together. Equally as much as watching it. Do you know what I mean? It's like the ingenuity of it all, and the fact of just finding film communities and finding just odd, weird, crazy stuff. You could only do that with Instagram, couldn't you? Let's face it. Yeah,
I think it's such a powerful tool.
Yeah,
it's stuff like this that, again, like this and the previous one is like, how do you even like write a trailer for this? It's kind of hard to explain, but once you see it and once you sort of get it afterwards, but sometimes it's hard to persuade a label to go for something like this. So we're grateful that some labels gave us the.
They're probably increasingly more interested in this stuff now. They realise the impact it has. But going back to the actual animation, the actual moves. So did you found the characters, and did you have to do the animation yourself? Or did they come?
They built animation? Them, but there was also this software called, at the time, I think it's been discontinued now. It's called Adobe Fuse.
Yeah,
you could easily sort of, kind of like a video game. You build your own character, customize it, and I sort of like went to the extremes of each feature.
Right.
And then there was this automatic rigging thing called Mixamo.
Yeah.
And it would like create any animation onto that, like pre-rendered animations onto these characters, and it would just like make the whole process a lot easier, because these are like possibly like different roles in a post house. Like somebody does the modeling, somebody does the rigging, somebody does the animation and the rendering, but like we just kept it so close.
Have you seen that Runway AI animation tool?
Yeah.
Have you played with that at all?
I did, mainly for rotoscoping. It was a bit rough for what I needed it for it, but I'm like, that's just the start of it. It's quite interesting.
There's a couple of accounts I should send you that a director showed me recently.
Yeah.
Just the maddest, craziest dreams, surrealist dreams.
Yeah.
Insane.
And like, it doesn't look amazing, but it's got such an aesthetic where I'm like, that's so charming to me.
Yeah, it's got such an aesthetic. Yeah.
And like when that gets cleaned up and it looks like a cinematic film, I'm going to be less interested. I like it when it's a bit warpy.
I agree. And it's like you can see the AI trying to understand humanity by getting kind of the ears in the wrong place or their eyes, and but equally it has this kind of weird sort of dreamlike, woozy kind of psychedelic kind of thing. So it's partly human. It's like a human android kind of mashup, kind of mix of craziness.
Yeah.
And I must say, when I saw it, it really affected me. I was like, oh my God, what's this saying? It almost feels like a kind of consciousness of creativity going in a certain direction, all of its own accord. It's like this, I don't know. But yeah, I thought you might find that interesting. Chris, should we go on to being signed now? Being signed by this being signed by
so before that, like I had, after uni, that was in 2017.
Oh, let's pause a second because we want to set this one up, because this is mental.
I walked past the studio when where we filmed this today.
Because now I live next door to it.
Yeah.
So set it up for us. Tell us how it all came about. Was that another commission you found? Or?
Oh no, this was like the first.
The
first music video I did with Pretty Good. Yeah.
So how did it? So tell me about how you got signed by them and what happened exactly.
So
what did they see? What did they see that
they only saw Headless, Frisco, and Indoor Pets.
Yeah.
And that was it.
Yeah.
I had just made Indoor Pets maybe like a few months earlier. And during like 2017 to like 2019, I approached a lot of production companies that probably weren't right for me, but I was not getting any replies back. And I understand why. The reel wasn't that strong, but I guess they couldn't like see the potential. So it was quite frustrating. That's why we created like Frisco and stuff. We were like, okay, at the time I was doing a lot of videos where they weren't representing what I wanted to do, but they were just like more stuff for the reel. But it wasn't a reel that I was proud of. So I was like, okay, I want to do something that I'm sort of happy with. So we did that, and sort of out of the blue, I messaged Mia and Juliet at Pretty Bird, and they had replied like almost immediately, and I was expecting not to have a response. The reason I didn't do it like years earlier is because they had this thing on the website which like they don't accept unsolicited emails, and I was kind of like scared about it. But again, a response or no response. So I was like, okay, I'll leave it.
That's a really good firewall. It worked for you.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
So I messaged them at like the right time.
Yeah.
And yeah, I messaged him, and they were so excited, and I was so excited. So we met up, and I remember saying to them, I can't like stop smiling, like my face actually hurts. So I was really excited that time, and that was back in like February 2019, and I didn't get this until like December 2019. So there was a long period where we were like pitching lots on music videos and not really getting anywhere. But I think this came out at the right time, and we got commissioned for the right video as the sort of launch. So yeah.
Okay, so so people who haven't seen it, how would you describe it?
Like, I don't know how like we were able to make it. I think they put a lot of trust in us. Again, like it felt like we got away with like the previous stuff that we've seen. It's just like they kind of let us do whatever we want.
Yeah, and for some reason they said we were like sat in a boardroom in Island Records, like near King's Cross, and we were trying to explain what we were gonna do, and we were like,
and I changed the idea like mid, because I was like, originally it was gonna be like his heart is like pounding. So
talk us. So for the audience that haven't seen it yet, or, I'm assuming a lot of them probably have, but talk us through how the idea came about. So.
So originally they sent over a brief. So Pretty Bird, the team and the rep at the time, they sent over a brief, and they liked the idea of having like Danny Dyer, just quite simply because the song has like this sample which is like an East End guy. And do
you remember the lyrics?
I don't.
But go on, Karen.
So they wanted an East End guy, quite simple, minimalist, like just like a black background, just saying the lyrics over and over again. And I was like, okay, what about if we just kind of like go crazy? And the song is a lot about drugs. Why don't we make it like a PSA, but it's kind of like an anti-PSA that becomes a PSA again? And I was like,
a public service announcement.
Yes. And so the original treatment I wrote, I wanted to have Phil Mitchell in it. Because there was again another well-known East End guy, and I thought it'd be quite funny. So he was like all over. So
did Danny Dyer say no to it then? Was he?
We approached him like when Phil said he couldn't do it, but like he wasn't really going to be our first choice because I didn't think it would be that funny. So we thought about. I remember going to the Pretty Bird offices, and we were like doing the pre-production for it, and we were like, okay, what about like Ross Kemp or something? And we were thinking about people who had like an authentic sort of like
the whole cast of East Enders.
Basically, you're working for the cast of East Enders.
Yeah, Ian Beale.
And then I was like, on the train home, I was like, do you know what? Ross Kemp could be a good idea. So I remember watching the episode of Extras.
And
then I was like,
he's really good in that. He's really good in that. Yeah.
I watched the whole series, and I was like, what about Barry from EastEnders? And I was like, yeah, that's kind of perfect.
Now I've seen it, I can't imagine anyone else doing a better job.
We kind of like we went in with an idea of like Phil Mitchell or whatever, but I think we got a better option.
Yeah, man, he was absolutely perfectly cast. I thought. Kind of brilliant, actually.
Yeah, and he loved it as well. Sean was like,
I can imagine.
Yeah, he loved it, and we loved it.
He kept in touch afterwards. We were going to do a talk, but then it was like the lockdown. As well.
Yeah, that would have been good.
So did you always know it was going to be like all these post effects? Was that part of? So you had that you had that in your mind already.
That's what I was saying. Like we still up to that point, we still worked with people on a freelance basis. Just you can do this one shot. Like this guy who did the eyes rolling back, which we'll get to. He's called Shivam, and he did that same shot on Instagram like years before, and I was like, I know he can do this. He can do it for us.
So this is tapping back into your Instagram community.
Yeah, and me and Jake have still worked with him, and he's worked with a lot of people in like the music video industry.
Yeah, Shiva
Just whilst stuff like that video
is echoing through the walls of the.
He's just like this. Really, he started his own like post-production company after like the back of this like one job, just because of how it led.
Right.
And he's like based in India.
I'm not surprised. So can you talk us through the post techniques that you used and what the kind of workflow is for that?
Yeah, there was quite a variation. There was a lot of like digital doubles. So we went.
You had to scan him in.
Yeah, we took him to like a 3D scanning place in London, and we got him to do this.
Yeah.
And we had the 3D scan. We sent it over to a team in America to get it like quite cheaply cleaned up and rigged, ready for animation, so we could send it to the animators and stuff. And then each animator would do their own thing with it. So it might be like him like sort of bending over, or there might be like miniature versions that we need to dance. And
what about the vomiting, his little Russian doll?
Yeah, so that was like a few animators that were working on, because like one of them like had to drop out because they were going on holiday. Like again, at that time we didn't really have like a post producer. That was me.
So there's mini ones that all digital. You use the original digital file that you scan and shrunken down and made him into like a vomited version of himself. I mean, just as I'm talking about it, it sounds so great.
But that's the thing, like we went into the meeting and we're like, and very like last minute into the like editing process, we were like, if we wanted to change an idea, they were cool with it.
Yeah, and the brain that comes out, is that a model? Or
yeah, that was Dom Spall, who I still work with regularly. He's a 3D animator, and I believe he might have created that model like from scratch, and he animated it and made it look. Because I remember going on his Instagram and I was like, his work, I think he was just leaving uni at that time, and his work was like very photorealistic. So I was like, that's something that I kind of needed for this one, especially since it was like such a highlight of the whole thing. I was like, there's going to be a lot of focus on what the brain looks like.
Do you have what are your sort of film influences for that kind of, generally what are they? And do you have kind of comedy influences?
I'm influenced by a lot of like music video directors. When I started in like 2013, I was still at college, and I remember doing like essays about Nabil. Do you know Nabil Alderkin? He did like a lot of like Weekend, Kanye West, Frank.
Oh right, yeah, right.
He has a very magical, realistic style. A lot of like Ian Ponchul, Daniels, Ninian Doff. They were doing a lot of comedy sort of stuff, and I was sort of heavily inspired by them. Really,
right.
Megaforce.
Yeah, Megaforce, of course. Should we watch this crazy thing that won you a few awards? I would imagine.
I don't know. I don't remember.
It's got nominated. I got.
Oh yeah, it got nominated at UKMVAs, which was really nice.
Young Director Award.
Oh yeah, shit. Sorry.
Yeah.
Which is like stuff I was dreaming about like in 2016 and stuff. But yeah, I wanted to shoot this in like what like a TV camera was. I didn't want it to be like cinematic Alexa until we got to those like real world shots.
Yeah.
So I wanted there to be like a distinction.
So what camera did you shoot this on? Do you remember?
I have no idea. It's like a Sony or Panasonic or something. And then it like cut to an Alexa.
Have you seen this, Chris? So this came out at the same time as Boris made his announcement, didn't it?
Yeah, so when we went to grade, like it was kind of like a ghost town in London.
But the timing of this was kind of brilliant, wasn't it?
Yeah, a lot of people said that like there was kind of like a captive audience at home almost, where people wanted something upbeat and weird and silly.
I know that really. I was like, man, that's so good.
And the sound guy as well. He is the real sound guy.
Yeah, Robert. Yeah.
So that's a very last minute thing. That's like, I always wanted him to sniff a version of him.
Yeah.
But I was like, how hard would it be for you to like do a naked version and then put clothes in him, and then when he sniffs it up, like the naked version is the only one that goes up the nose.
My favorite bit's coming up with the brain. That was What was he like to work with?
He's
Sean, isn't
he's
it?
really
Yeah.
nice. It was a bit like of a starstruck moment because we like
Yeah.
a lot of Ricky Gervais
Yeah.
work.
Did you get to chat to him much about working with Ricky?
I can't remember now. I think we were.
He's really putting his heart into this performance, isn't he?
Yeah.
This.
I was kind of worried because at the start he wasn't getting the lip sync right, and I was like,
Yeah.
shit. And then like a few goes into
Yeah,
it,
he got
he
it,
just
get-
got it, and I was like
Get
so
the
relaxed.
rhythm, yeah.
That was the hard part, yeah.
But his performances, I think, is pretty excellent. Yeah. I love the wave. Goodbye to his brain.
Yeah. Well, that's born out of the lyrics, right?
Yeah. This is brilliant. Yeah.
At the moment, I look at it and it feels like previs,
Right.
but for like some animation that we have not finished. But that's how it is with like music videos and stuff.
Yeah.
Especially for this budget. But the ideas were there.
Yeah, but it's like I say, it's part of the charm.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? It doesn't need to be that way because the idea's coming across properly
Yeah.
and the comedy's there. Yeah. Yeah.
I think he just was exhausted by this point.
Yeah.
Like he was so exhausted. I think he had something on that night, like he was in like a play or something. And so he was just exhausted and then he had to go do something completely different.
It looks like he's literally method acting with this.
Yeah.
It's like you spiked his drink or something.
Yeah, he was I don't know, I don't know what happened. He switched it up at one point and it was
Yeah.
I love how he kind of popped up back into like commercials. I saw the real 5G commercial that Ian did, and the Paddy Power ones recently, and I just love to see him again.
Yeah.
I'd love to work with him again as well.
Yeah, we kept
like
in
a
touch
shorter
quite a bit
feature,
actually.
yeah.
For
I
a
mean,
while.
he is a bit of a national treasure, really.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
everyone loves him. So
I think
yeah. He was the first person to sort of send his character up a little bit and sort of have that tongue-in-cheek thing. And he just worked so well when he's working with Ricky Gervais and Stephen Merchant. I just thought he was absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, I think
he
he's the
doesn't take
best
himself too
cartoon extra.
seriously. Yeah, I think at the time he was saying like, oh, he's going to start this thing called karaoke, and he ended up doing it.
Karaoke.
Yeah, he still does it. It's so popular.
Because like I think that he became like a bit of a meme because
People pay for him to go and sing? What's karaoke?
He I think it's like a club night at like different universities and whatever, and it's just it sells out and people just love it. I've seen it. I've never been.
What he performs?
Yeah, he runs.
Well, he became a bit of a meme because he sang before like some event.
Yeah.
Or something. And people still talk about it on Twitter when like Barry from EastEnders randomly popped up and he's got like an incredible singing voice.
I've heard he's got a good voice. Yeah,
he's a talented guy.
Yeah, brilliant.
Multifaceted.
Karaoke. It's a great name.
Yeah.
Well, that was phenomenal, and so that's put you on the map, though, surely.
Strangely, like it was like the first music video with Pretty Bird, but it got like commercial attention as well, which that was something I really wanted. And when I was going into commercials, I was like, you know how commercials are. I'm kind of happy to just do any work because it's just the music videos will be the fun bit, and commercials where you just get paid.
Yeah.
So I kind of looked at when I started doing commercials, I was actually equally as happy with.
Yeah.
Because I get paid and I get to make interesting work.
Yeah.
That's
so
great.
let's move on to that then. So now we're moving on to Brain Dead. So now we're moving on to the BBC, like nowhere
Where we
else.
first met.
Where we met you.
Where we met. Yeah.
Yeah,
Where
yeah.
we all met. Should we get that up, Chris? So actually, before we play it, just pause it a second. Do you want to set it up as to how it came about?
Yeah, so I think this was probably like the first commercial pitch I did
Yeah.
at Pretty Bird. And I think what they really liked about the treatment and the previous work was just kind of like you say, that weird post-internet style. And it felt like very collage-y, the previous work that I had done. And that's something they wanted here. And even here, we were still working with a few collaborators. We did have a post house as well to do like some big jobs, but we were still like filling in the gaps with collaborators.
Can I ask you how you found the cultural shift from going from music videos when you're dealing with just the artist and and a commissioner, and then you're moving into this whole kind of murky world of agency and clients
it
and
was
people
hard.
micromanaging you.
It was strange,
strange.
but I don't even notice it too much because it was during the lockdown as well. So our PPM was not very formal. It was just like via Zoom.
Yeah, I think we've always had a bit of we felt we've always had a bit of an issue of people just seeing us as two boys. Like we seem to have an all right.
Sorry. The creatives and stuff. The first time they ever saw me, like, was on set.
Yeah.
Because of lockdown.
Yeah, it was lockdown, and I hadn't put my camera on.
Yeah.
Ah, really? Oh,
Yeah, and I didn't
hilarious.
on Instagram. I didn't have a picture.
So you're like this mystery
Yeah,
director.
and I remember one of the creatives like asking the like creative director, like, "Can you get a picture of him and send it to me?"
Oh, that's brilliant. So tell me why you didn't have your camera on then.
I really don't remember much of that time. It's strange, it's a blur.
Yeah, you never had the
was it
camera.
shy?
I just had
so
my
just-
camera on.
Right,
Yeah.
just you just a habit
Yeah, I
of
think
not
I just
having
had
the
like
camera.
lockdown hairstyle.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
just feel
But I like the mystery of that. I like them not. I also like them not knowing what they're getting into. It kind of reminds me.
we're
Of,
just like two boys.
but it reminds me of the film days as well, because the film days was literally not having your camera on with
Yeah.
the footage, right? Because no one really saw the footage
Yeah.
until you kind of reveal it to them when it's all too late for them to make any changes, right? And then when the monitor came along, and then it was like, is that actually what we're filming? Then it's like designed by committee. Do you know what I mean? Suddenly it's as they say, a racehorse designed by a committee to camel, right? So it took it really changed the whole industry. But yeah, I love the idea of like taking back that power by basically being mysterious.
I think if they'd seen us sooner,
Yeah, don't mind.
because it always seemed to like when people met us.
So it
We
was
got young faces.
so
as
it's
well,
also
and
the-
he didn't have a beard at this time.
So hang on, so it's also the young. So maybe it was a subconscious thing where you kept the camera off because you were young, right? And you didn't want to frighten them
possibly.
away.
I was 25 when we first did this,
Yeah.
I feel like people used to laugh.
but I looked younger.
Yeah, I don't know if it was true or whether it was just us being self-conscious about it. It sort of at times felt like when they saw us and we looked really young and like they seemed to lose some confidence in us.
Yeah.
And it kind of started to get a bit frustrating, I guess, because we would always deliver, or at least I feel like we always delivered.
I must say, I was delighted to work with you when I first met you because I could tell you knew what you were doing and you had a certain way about you where you were on top of it, but really likable and easy to work with. And you were you had your whole career ahead of you, and I could see you were going places.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you're exactly the kind of people I want to be working with.
Yeah,
so I can't
we felt the
understand
same. Yeah.
I can't understand why agency wouldn't
Maybe
feel the same.
maybe it's not true. Maybe we were just, but like I guess it was just a funny. We've always just said like when we win a job, and we're always just like we're just two young boys. We still feel we were saying it outside before we were waiting. We were like we just feel really ordering a Subway and just.
But that imposter thing, I mean, I've had that for most of my career. I mean, it's funny because I was talking to Raj earlier, and we were talking about happiness at the beginning before we even started recording about levels of happiness. There's a guy I really like called Alan de Botton, and he has a thing called the School of Life, and he takes old philosophy and he brings it into sort of modern context. And he basically has this theory of happiness, and it's either the secret of happiness is to have low expectations on what you can get from life, because then once you excel your expectations, then you're happy basically. And if you have too higher expectations, and I always think, when I met people at film school, I was just amazed that I was at film school. I couldn't quite believe it. And when I met directors at film school and they said, I want to direct my first feature by the time I'm 25, like Stanley Kubrick or whatever, I'm like, man, that is setting yourself up for a really unhappy life, surely, right? Because you're never going to, you're taking a best filmmaker probably of all time, one of the best top 10 of all time, and you're comparing yourself to him. I mean, how's that going to work out for you? Do you know what I mean? It's
no, I agree. Yeah.
But so anyway, so if we could meet in the middle age-wise, then we'd all be happy, wouldn't we? Because I fear that now I'm getting too old, and I have, people look at me and I'm too old for doing this job. You fear that you're too young, so we could kind of somehow. I guess the sweet spot's like.
Well, I guess us working
isn't it?
together is the perfect way to do that. Like.
Intergenerational set. This is the thing that, as Chris will tell you, I love to have young and old on set. So it has a, because you need a sure hand, and you need someone who's seen it all before, right? But you also want the energy and the relevance of. You
all benefit mutually from that, like that thing. You don't want a room full of old men. You don't want a room full of young kids. It's nice to just have that. We're all learning stuff from each other, and we've always, you and I have discussed that whenever we're on set. It's always just a lovely group, from top to bottom. It's always just a lovely group of people, and you finish every day on set. I felt like really happy. I've never finished a day being like, I can't be bothered with the next one tomorrow. It's always like I'm excited to get back on set when it's our team that we've we always seem to have roughly the same team with a few exceptions, and it's always been lovely. And especially on this BBC job, we don't know how many shoot days we did in the end, but it was a lot, right?
And I think in between that period of doing the BBC job and even like the Brain Dead job, and before that, he was slowly gathering sort of like his own team. I was gathering the post team. He was gathering like the production team. So a lot of people he already knew, like in terms of like ADs and all the other production staff, and then you had your team as well. So it's kind of like we're all combined.
Yeah, one big film family. Yeah.
So everybody was quite familiar with each other, and then we were like getting to know new people as well.
Yeah. So what impressed me is that you guys, clearly you were young and you're new to the commercials industry, but you had a sort of filmmaking sensibility about you. And it doesn't surprise me that you were making music videos before you even went to film school.
One thing I noticed recently, especially the latest projects I've done, I think most of the stuff we've done and has always got like music running as a thread. I think I've rarely done anything that's kind of like just two people speaking in a commercial. It's always been like, it's almost like a music video. So I think that's where it's come from as well. And it's kind of like, I think maybe clients come to me for music related commercials and stuff.
So going back to sort of just moving from music videos into commercials, so you kind of you're kind of a team, right? So does that help when you're dealing with agency and client sort of?
I think the way that me and Yousef work, like our, how we work is quite nice because, and I've managed to develop that with other directors as well, but it was a nice way of working because I guess we've kind of always blurred the lines a little bit between, it's not really this like clinical relationship where, can I book in a time with you to talk about this? It's like but that's because we were friends before we were working together.
Another boy, and he is my friend. And I think the most important thing is like he's not just a producer for me, like because he was writing before he was even a producer, and he's a director in his own right as well. So for me, he is somebody who, if I've got a problem creatively, he can help me solve it. And he comes up with ideas as well. I've worked with producers who are like so amazing at just like producing, but he is adding so much more, and he's
right.
He's a
so
filmmaker himself.
They're the best relationships. My history of director relationships, I had maybe 3 or 4, maybe 5 over my whole career where they would call me up. I remember someone giving me some advice really on, was really good advice. It's like, try and get a director to need you more than just technically, like emotionally, ideally. So if a director phones me up and starts asking me, or sometimes directors phone me up and they're complaining about a pitch they've just lost, and they want to just talk to someone about it, someone that's kind of not, like another director, or someone they can just unload on, sort of thing. And when I hear those conversations, I'm like, yes, because then I feel like I'm properly in with a director and we can grow together and we can support each other, sort of thing. But the relationships I love the most are the ones where sometimes directors bring me in on an early stage of a job for like creative discussions and stuff, like treatment stage. And I like that when I get that with a director, then I know that firstly I know that I'm going to probably get repeat work from them, which is obviously good. But secondly, I love that relationship because then I feel like I'm going on a journey with someone and supporting them creatively, and it's not just I'm being brought in to be a DOP. You're not a cameraman,
you're like an artist.
Yeah, exactly, a collaborator.
How do you bring your creativity to whatever they're creating?
So, and then they get the best of me because what they do is they get my emotional commitment before the job, before we've even spoken about how many days we're shooting, and I'm engaged, and I have to call my agent up and say, look, whatever they want, give them, because I've always said to my agent, the moment I have a conversation with a director and it goes well, then I'm on the job, and whatever happens, I can't back out. And sometimes I had to like turn down jobs several days because
I think this happened with us recently, and I really appreciate that about you. That the job we did for BAFTA recently, I know we didn't have tons of money, but I saw your email, which was to your rep. That was, I think there'd been a mix up of dates between another job that you had on, and I just remember seeing you say, this one takes priority, because we'd approached you about it first, and we'd had you seemed to strike up a really good relationship with the director already, and so it was great to know that you were so keen on the job to do it no matter what the circumstances were. And so it's nice when you know that from a DP, this job isn't just this is what's my rate. It was, I really want to do this job for the reason of making a great film, and that's why I think we're all on the same page with that kind of mentality.
I think so when we first worked together, probably that's what you just articulate what I felt. I felt that we're filmmakers and we want to make a difference. We want to just make good films. That's what we care about. That's like kind of like our what's it called? Calling. That's our calling, right? So and when you find like-minded people that have a similar calling, then there's an unsaid understanding, sort of thing. And I think that's what man, I mean that's so but to have that relationship between the two of you, when you're writing, you're directing, and you can call each other up in the middle of the night, whatever, even though he falls asleep occasionally when you talk.
Yeah, it's always been a really nice. It's I want to be involved in as much as possible. You don't want to step on a director's toes, and I feel like I've found a nice balance of making sure that the director knows that they can lean on me for those creative bits, but I'm never gonna try and push anything because that's not my position. But I mean, it does obviously help.
That's proper producer supporting a director. Is that being the kind of creative, kind of like like to bounce
a soundboard,
yeah. But also respecting their vision, supporting their vision.
I think it's about development as well, because when you started this whole process, even when I got signed, I didn't think you knew much about post-production, and I was like post-producing like Brain Dead and stuff, and I was very unorganized. And then you are like quite confident now with
I guess
post producing.
I guess it's just something that I've just learned as I've gone along, and like there's people that I can thank for that I've sort of I didn't have, for example, much animation or any animation on my reel, and now through working with people like Blink, they've allowed me to, they've taught me how to produce animation and produce stop motion, and it's just they're just great things to add to your knowledge. I'm still wanting to learn and still wanting to develop more skills in that sense. So I think I didn't have really a clue about post, and it's just happened to just learn as I've gone along, and that's
one of the things that we kind of all know about this industry is the more you can specialize in certain things, the more you can have specialisms, the better you'll survive. Because there's a lot.
Which I think is like kind of boring. Because I like to do a lot of different things.
But you can have specialisms in different areas. It's like kind of collecting kind of credits, isn't it? It's like you can do a bit of that, but to have like really niche stuff that's like people are always going to want to pigeonhole you because they're going to want to know.
Of course, especially in the commercial world. Like if you're a DP and you've only ever done like tabletop, it's going to be hard for you to do a car commercial, right?
That's right.
They want to...
and in fact, you can never do a car commercial without having done a car commercial. It's a catch-22, man. And it's the one area that luckily I had a time in beauty. I started off as a beauty DOP, would you believe, like doing hair and beauty. And when I first went to my agent, she I went around the houses to speak to various agents, and I decided which one I wanted. I came back to them and said, sorry, they took on this DOP called August Jakobsen at the time, who was really kind of good DOP, but a similar kind of level to me. And they said, no, he's just taken on August, so we're not interested anymore. And I went, oh shit, that's terrible, because you're the ones I wanted to choose. So I ended up agentless. And then they said that day they phoned me back and said, we got a hair commercial pickup. It's not even a proper commercial, it's just a pickup. I had to go in and just shoot one shot of someone's hair. Can you do it, because we don't have any beauty DOPs on our roster? And I went, yeah, sure. So I went and did it, and on that job I met Steve Hudson, who was an ex-BBH creative under Frank Budgeon, who became quite a successful director in his own right. And I won a job with him because he's on set. He wasn't even the director of the job I was doing. He just happened to be on set. And then I called my non-agent up that day and said, I just won a job with Steve Hudson shooting Nikon, going to South Africa, like a 5-6 day job. Actually 2-week job, 6 day shooting, 2 weeks into Cape Town. And they went, I said, well, I feel like I should book it through you. I know you're not my agent, but I feel I should book it through you because you kind of got me the job. And they went, okay. And then since then, my career just carried on. And then I said to them about 3 or 4 years ago, I said, I've never signed a contract with you, don't you?
Is this who you're still with?
Yeah, I'm still with 20 years later. I never signed a contract with him. It just came about. But that came about through a specialism. And if I didn't have that, that's my foot in the door. Because at the time, there wasn't many people that did hair and beauty, right? So I kind of had that one thing. But it's not something I chose. It's just something that happened because I worked with another director, Sarah Dunlop, who did hair and beauty. And I did a few jobs with her before you know it. Now I'm getting into virtual production, and it's almost like fake it till you make it. At the beginning, I kind of showed an interest in virtual production, and now I've actually started shooting virtual production. But it's one of those things where if I hadn't shown an interest in it, and I hadn't sort of tried to, find, so I think there's a real value in just kind of having certain kind of skills that are kind of unique to you, and you can market in some way. Do you know what I mean? Because that's what a producer's going to do, is they're going to try and market you and get, in a certain way. And if they have like a variety of skills they can market you with, then that's all the better for them. Yeah.
I definitely understand it. Yeah.
So anyway, moving on. So we're going to watch the BBC thing, the thing we met on, and we just discussed.
And the reason I wanted to work with you on that in particular was
your reel was so varied, and you were quite helpful on your website to split everything up into different categories. And one thing that was quite important to me was like the comedy category, which many DPs don't have as a category. It might be like hair or cars or food or something. So I was like, this guy feels right.
All right, cool. Yeah, I'm glad the comedy helps because I love doing comedy. Yeah.
And it's not like a visual style, but I'm like, I guess he understands it somewhat. So to me, he had an edge over everybody else.
Oh, cool, man. So so this is like, I guess, the meta mashup kind of postmodern.
So some live action that we shot together, some plates and stuff in Swindon. And then we did like a day in a kitchen with Master Chef Greg Wallace, which is weird to see him in real life.
Yeah,
he's quite a character.
He's got a lot of one-liners.
Yeah.
This is another collaborator as well. We work with a lot.
Yeah, there's quite a few. So we did like 7 shoot days. I think you were on there for 6.
Should we watch it again?
It's quite fast. You were on there for 6. Mainly like green screen stuff we did and a few plates.
And there was a few pickup days as well.
So break it down. So you found you found the footage first that you were going to use. Well, how did it work?
It was a nightmare.
There was a lot of footage. We had like a research team who were really helpful in going through the BBC archive to find very specific things that we wanted.
Yeah. So you gave them like sort of briefs. Exactly.
Yes. Yeah. We had storyboarded as best as possible, but we didn't really know what existed. Yeah. And I remember having to watch him through, like skimming through like hours and hours of like Wimbledon footage, and they're really big downloads as well. And you sort of like had to get creative on the way, because like I'd written an idea where like Phil Mitchell gets hit by Serena Williams' tennis racket, and then he turns into an egg, and then out of the egg comes what's he called? David Attenborough. And then that links into the footage. But this footage doesn't exist. So
right, yeah.
It wasn't possible. And
there was tons of red tape as well.
Yes, red tape as well. So like we'd get like a perfect shot of...
Do you want to keep looping the other one, Chris? Just so... Because that's one we...
Oh, yeah. So we'd find like a perfect Wimbledon shot, and it'd be like, okay, well, we can't have that play because we, for some reason...
And you can't alter it.
Yeah, you can't. You can only speed it up or slow it down. You can't add any VFX. So it's like when it goes up, we have to cut to a different shot, essentially.
Yeah.
So it was kind of like limiting, but we had to get creative.
Which I think was like one of those things I think you were asking about earlier, that transitioning from doing music videos where I guess we were only answering to the artists, what they were after, and the label. Whereas obviously with this, there was God knows how many people we were having to check, and legal team, and
so
get permissions.
You got to lead them all through the process.
Yeah, and that was new to us, and very much new to me in a production point of view. Having to, it was frustrating because I was used to us being able to really just sort of do what we wanted to an extent, but obviously we couldn't do that here, and that was something I guess I had to learn as we went along, that we've got to check everything. And we could spend 2 weeks planning the shot, but then we get told 2 weeks later that certain person says you can't do that, and then we have to unravel it all and untie and think of a new transition. It was just a bit of a...
And even because it wasn't just like the 60, it was like the short films as well, which we'll get onto. They were a bit like, we had shot specific stuff. Do you remember the Doctor Who doubles and stuff? I was really excited about that. And then I think it was really early stages of like, what's the process called with the face AI sort of stuff?
Oh, you mean
deepfake? Yeah. So we tried deepfaking, and it wasn't really working because they'd have to have the same facial structure, or there wasn't enough footage, right footage for us to use. And again, it was quite early in the process. This was like 3 years ago, and so we had to scrap that one because they didn't want to like take the risk. And like off the cuff, we'd have to see like, okay, here are the BBC shows that we've got. Let's think of some ideas that could fit in with these scenes. And the creators were like, bless them, they were like really hard working as well. They'd have to make like loads of like decks with like different pictures of ideas that we had to choose from, feel like which ones were going to be the strongest. And yeah, so even like sort of like 11th hour, we're still like coming up with different ideas because we had almost like a quota to fill with these like short films that maybe are not linked to this, but yeah.
And how did you find a negotiation with the client and the agency?
I mean, it was hard because I guess I don't know. I felt like it was hard because like I say, we were used to just being able to like think of something hilarious and just make it. And you know, it wasn't that the team over at BBC didn't like the ideas. It was that we don't think we can get that past. You know, the Planet Earth team won't allow that to be done, or Wimbledon's rules are you can't do this. So it was kind of like spend all this time, Yousef, like pulling these ideas out, and then we sit on it for 2 weeks and then get told up. You can't do that either, which means you also can't do this. And it was just
like the Stormzy stuff. We had to have a backup of like Stormzy will approve it when Stormzy will approve it when he's seen the final thing.
Sees the preceding shots or how he's represented.
Like he'll see the final shot and then he'll decide if he likes it or not. If he doesn't like it, then we have to find something else very late into the game. So we had like a backup with like Chemical Brothers, Glastonbury set. We didn't make it or anything, but like we had to have backups for everything.
Yeah. So that was quite an education in the whole politics of commercials.
You
kind of dived into the deep end. So
it was very much I guess this was a fake it till you make it moment as well, where I'd not produced something on this scale, and also the budget was something that I'd never. It was a budget that we'd never.
Consistent shoot dates as well.
Yeah, it was just a real. It was quite a headache on all fronts, but it was also the sort of job that we would love to make. Like this was a sort of commercial that, you know, we were working on. There was TV shows that we love, like, you know, This Country and People Just Do Nothing, and it was great to be able to like work with them, and also working with cast members, you know, that we shot with, like Asim and also Curtin from this country. Like there was, you know, that was also just amazing to work with people that we really respected again, and on a level like this, and again, just two young boys. It was nice.
Yeah, he was. Is that Asim?
He was hilarious.
And he came up with stuff like off the cuff. That's why it says Girth, Wind and Fire. Like, we didn't write that. He just came up with that.
Yeah, he was kind of.
There's so many little Easter eggs as well that I've forgotten about, like the airlines.
Albert Square lines at the start, and then Lineker.
Yeah, brilliant. And so the inside of the mouth. Talk us through that. Was that all? That's all 3D.
So. I think
that
was remember we shot like we got like a wide close up of his mouth, and then like there's like a CG takeover into his mouth, and then we go in, and then we were like, we don't know where we're going into, but I guess you know, we sort of have to end on the Glastonbury thing.
Through the portal, through the throat, down into Glastonbury. With Steve Coogan. Yeah,
we had like a lot more ideas for shots and stuff, but we just couldn't fit them in for time. That's actually the main struggle for us, was just like, how do we get this into like 60 seconds?
Yeah, coming through from music videos when you got 3.5-4 minutes into 60
and
seconds.
You can have a break in between that as well. Why didn't have like a little 2-minute?
Yeah, I mean, that is the discipline of looking at tennis. Actually, I've always thought commercials are like grass court tennis, where you have to abbreviate the strokes, whereas clay court, where you can do longer strokes, is more like, you know, kind of longer form stuff. But the thing about commercials, and the people that do it best, I think, they're really good at abbreviating and getting meaning across very quickly. So it's quite a skill.
This project went on for so long as well.
6 months.
6 months of it.
I think we commissioned in like August, and I think it came out in like possibly January time. We worked on it in October, and maybe it like we did some pickups in November, possibly.
Right. I remember. Doing pickups a month or so later.
And every day was like 5 or 6 Zoom calls, which lasted. I feel like I lived on Zoom for 6 months, and it was
during that time as well, during the lockdown.
No, not good for your mental health. That. Chris, should we look at the 2 shorts then? The two short ones after, just so we can. With what's his name again? Girth, Wind and Fire.
Asim.
Asim.
He was playing Chabuddy G.
Yeah, he was brilliant. And then we have the profiteroles.
Oh yeah. I think that was probably my favourite one
of the shorts. Because everything else was like either a cut down or is made specifically. It was either a cut down or.
It kind of was pulled from this in a way, like
footage,
a development.
It was like we added some CG, some footage or anything like that. But this was like the first one.
Here we go.
Yeah, this was like a miniature set. I don't know if you want to talk about what you did outside.
I'm trying to remember.
It's all in camera.
Yeah.
So like we filmed it like in real life.
Yeah.
As I'm sure you remember.
Yeah.
But there was a lot of discussions, a lot of Zoom calls about the texture of the profiteroles, like not looking too nice. So we did like a CG on top of the profiteroles and like blended them, so you still got your lighting.
Ah, right. And then you had to just
they just kind of like
give them
smoothed
more,
it
give them more texture.
Yeah, in the right places, because maybe they felt a bit too dry and stuff.
Right. Okay. That was a 3-hour Zoom conversation, was it?
Yeah.
Brilliant. Okay. Nice one. So now we should go on to the Paloma Faith Monster, which is a great track, eh?
Yes, it's super catchy.
Yeah, it really is.
I think that was sort of it's not related to the conversation I had at the start of the year preceding that music video, but my team were like, we really like the work we've done so far, but it's like a specific style. I'll find it a bit harder to win like more cinematic jobs. And then this was like the one I won after it. And we were like, okay, let's sort of go overkill on this cinematic homage and stuff. And it was like a really beautiful location.
Where was the location?
It's in Bexley Heath, I think. It's where
Victoria Pumping Station or something.
Yeah. Yeah, so the location did like so much of the heavy lifting itself without even needing much dressing.
He pranked me once as an April Fool's.
Yeah.
He said that the location got cancelled, and I spent like half a day trying to find somewhere else.
Yeah, but I didn't even know that. I played.
He thought I was like
I played the joke
response, being like, okay, but I was just trying to be like calm, cool.
Oh, right. So he thought you got the joke.
Because Yousef said to me, if we don't use this location, I don't want to do the video. And so I managed to get the location after they said no. I begged them to let us shoot it there, and then I'd messaged saying, oh, they've actually changed their mind and pulled out. And I just didn't go on my phone for a while, and a few hours later,
and he was busy panicking trying to find it.
Yeah.
Try and when he goes back round, Chris, try and pause on the wide shot, just so he can.
Yeah, the wide shot is one of my favorites.
Yeah, it's a beauty. Yeah.
But and it's a music video, 2-day shoot, but you always run out of time, and like the ending, some of these shots like downstairs, they felt a bit rushed. But this is all like the same location. It's just like quite a bit of a process to get everything downstairs. It's not very safe.
Yeah, it was two of the hardest shoot days I think I've ever experienced. Adric Watson,
yeah. So he does really nice
He did
work.
an amazing job, and he's just a super lovely dude.
Yeah, he's doing really well at the moment.
Yeah.
So talk me through. Oh, that's the shot there, Chris. Just back. Can you get it back to? Here we go. That's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So this was
beautiful location.
This is 2-day shoots, right?
Yeah, 13-hour days.
Yeah.
When the budget did not match that.
Yeah. And did you have all these colours in mind when you? Or was that Adric bringing that to
I liked red and green, and obviously like a bit of yellow, because we were going for that giallo style.
Yeah.
So I sent like a load of references from that era.
Yeah.
And I just let him sort of do his thing. He was like
Dario
walking around
Argento.
pointing and stuff, being like, let's have some haze here. Let's point this light through these and get this like texture.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was really nice.
Yeah, it's really got that is it Dario Argento, isn't it? Yeah. It's got that what's that red what's it famous?
Suspiria.
Yes, Suspiria. There's another one, something red. I can't remember it now, but it's got that sort of same kind of
I think the location, like, it was very gold, yellow, red. Like it was so pristine, and like the colors that the location already had sort of did so much itself as well.
And I feel like this is kind of like the best we could do for the budget, because if we had more, I probably would have gone for like 16mm or something like that, or like some really nice old lenses from that time. Yeah. To make it feel like it's properly.
Yeah, just make it a bit grungier. Yeah. Yeah. But it's still, the lighting brings a lot to it, I think, and the color choice.
Yeah. The production design is really great as well.
Who was the designer?
Katie South. She worked on the BBC one with us as well.
Oh, yeah. All right. Yeah.
Yeah, we've worked and BAFTA recently. I think I've worked for more than anyone. She's amazing.
Yeah. Very good. And that's like, okay. Just going back, there's some shots of the windows out. Just go. So he's wearing red gloves. I was wondering where the red came from.
Yeah, and I just like love the creativity of the whole team. Like even, I think it was like some Sparks or some gaffers or somebody like we wanted to film centrally in that wide shot, but there was like a hole, there was like a staircase, and they were like, that's fine, we'll just put like this bit of metal and like we'll measure it out and we'll get like some thing there, and it'll be, like safe. And yeah, I was like, okay, that's perfect. Like originally we were gonna have it slightly off center and it would felt aesthetically
you need
pleasing.
The central
And again,
framing
the
works.
CG is by one of our frequent collaborators, Dari, again, who we'd worked with quite a lot in the past.
Yeah, he's a crazy
like,
bedroom.
We didn't want to go to like a post house to just do it and take all our budget.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, wonderful. Yeah, really good.
Yeah, I think this one probably stressed him out. Poor Dari.
yes, music video turnaround times are insane.
Yeah, nice
Yeah,
one.
it was cool.
And did you get? How was this received? Because I mean,
I think a lot of fans liked it. Yeah.
Paloma messaged you, right?
Oh,
saying
yeah,
like
it's like the best video she's ever done, which is kind of a
Yeah, I mean, it's
really
really
nice
it's really
and stuff.
cinematic, man. It's like, and it plays into that genre really well. It's like,
yeah. So we started off the year with having like no cinematic work except all the, like the playful stuff that we've done in the past.
Yeah.
And then we was like, okay, let's make the most cinematic piece we can. So
Yeah. Well, you succeeded. Well done. Yeah. And okay, so now we're going to go on to the last piece of work you sent me.
25.
So Old Spice, Curls Are Cool. This is recent years, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it was.
This is 2021.
2021.
That's when we shot it. It came out in like January 2022.
Yeah, it feels more recent.
So this is shot. Was this shot in New York? No.
I knew you were gonna. I predicted a lot of the questions you asked. No, it's in Stoke Newington.
Is it really?
So we had a green screen outside, and then I think we had an amazing production designer.
Yeah.
And we were just like, let's get all the bodega stuff.
Yeah.
Apparently, it's like really expensive to film in New York, even though we would have everything there already.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And
I think we get away with it, but like
who shot this?
Adric again.
Oh right. Nice.
So this, it was in the same year as Paloma.
Yeah.
And I think this is the only thing I did after Paloma that year.
Yeah. Yeah. So
and there are a few
talk
post houses here and a few like collaborators. So there was like a transition sort of thing.
Can we watch
where we're like, okay, we need a specialist for hair, and there was this company in Russia who were like doing amazing stuff with hair.
So talk us through how this technique works then.
So this is Sheep Films, aka Dave Packer, who we work with quite a lot. He was like during like the days of like YouTube just starting out, he did a lot of like GIFs. You might have seen them but not known his work. So he's always been like quite someone who's really amazing at VFX but also has a sense of humor as well. So he did a lot of these like waving shots of the hair bumping shots and the cleanup of this like sliding shot. And
so the hair so if
it's CG hair like this, then it's like the post house in Russia. But if it's like bouncing and stuff like that, then it's Dave,
right,
who's just like
so
another bedroom wizard for us.
So that all the hair was shot as normal, and then the movement of the hair was all done in CG
to the beat as well.
Yeah.
So that's all like fake hair at the bottom.
Yeah, cool.
And this is from Felix, who does like these incredible animated artworks on Instagram. I've been a big fan of him for a long time, and
this DC's Crispy Curls.
No, that was an animator,
right?
Like a 2D animator. But yeah, just that dollar bill at the start.
Oh right.
And it was the same process. So I thought about like who would be best at this.
Yeah.
It'll be somebody who can. We send them a photo of a dollar bill, and then they can animate it.
Yeah, wonderful. So going back into the Bedroom Wizards archive.
Yeah, I think it was
Instagram.
Just all freelancers again.
Yeah.
It's a budget thing, it's a time thing, and it's also like, again, I'm quite confident to go to like somebody who I know has done this before.
Yeah.
Who's like a specialist, not.
And we got good relationships.
And were those girls twins?
Yes.
I mean, they're actual. Do you replicate them?
Yeah. They weren't intended to be like twins or anything. We just saw them in the casting and we were like, okay, can we afford like another cast member? So like, let's have them both together. It'd be funnier.
Yeah.
To have a bit of weirdness.
Yeah. Cool.
It was a weird casting session where we're just casting people who have a specific type of hairstyle. It can't be too like curly.
It had to be someone that the product would be appropriate for, and then
that's why when a straight haired guy comes in, they
he doesn't know why
he's
lost the casting. Or, because of the hair. Yeah.
Yeah, but we shot it all in one day. It was a bit of a
intense.
It was a crazy day.
Intense.
What, pre-light and shoot one day? Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, so let's move on to Robinson's. So this is first trip to Cape Town.
Yeah, this year.
This is this year, was it?
Yeah, this was March, I think.
Oh, wonderful.
So it's another music-related commercial, I guess.
Yeah. So is that the niche you're kind of you're carving out
It's
for yourself?
accidental, isn't it? Yeah. I like it. Even the projects I did recently, it's music-based. I think it's the editing thing. Again, going back to music videos, it's like, I know how long this is going to be because we're basing the edit around the whole track. So it gives it a sense of rhythm and stuff.
And the styling, the colours, that's
Robinson's flavors,
yeah.
We just wanted to make something that was like really colourful.
And can you remember, did you have a crane going over? So that was...
We had a techno crane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what was the day? Was it... Because Cape Town, you can get... They call it the Cape Dock, so you can get quite big winds. So sometimes you can't put,
crazy,
the big frames up to control the harsh sunlight.
Yeah, so I think we got away with it because the location we were in was kind of like in a bit of like a
bit of a valley.
Yeah. When we tech recce'd, it was like torrential rain and like wind, and we were like, we can never shoot here. And
we had to imagine what it's like.
Yeah.
And it was all local crew. Do you bring a DOP over, or do you use a local DOP?
We flew somebody out. It was kind of like an interestingly long process. We like had loads of suggestions. I cut people's show reels together, just like going through their websites and like not even like, here's all the stuff they've done. Here's all the relevant stuff they've done. Like they've worked with like this sort of equipment, or like they've got this visual style. And we managed to get somebody we like had suggested early on.
Yeah, Matt Fox. Yeah.
Right.
And he was great.
He's tall.
Probably the tallest DP in the game, I'd say.
Right, I hadn't heard of him.
He's great, yeah.
Maybe Dougal Wilson tall.
Oh, right, really?
Possibly.
Yeah.
Don't know, I've never seen them side by side.
Yeah, cool. So that was a good experience overall, was it?
Yeah, it was fun. And I enjoyed like the process from like all sides, like pre-production and post as well. Production was probably the favorite bit because it was like a nice sunny location with your best friend.
It does feel like you kind of like you cheated the system somehow.
And I guess when people saw us again, it was like it's a pinch you moment because you see like there's so many crew and cast and they're all waiting for like our decision.
I remember,
again, in our heads we're just kind of like just two boys,
and everyone was majorly ill. They're like client. Like we were just laid out on the floor on set, and like doctors were there just trying to like get us to like try and make us better. Everyone was ill.
Like food poisoning or something?
Well, I think it was like from the water. They said, but like we were like for the 2 shoot days, I think only a couple of people from the like agency and client managed to make it to set because it was so ill.
Wow.
And I remember I was just like, you managed, luckily Yousef and the DP were the 2 people that managed to not get ill.
Wow, that's a bit of a stroke of luck, isn't it?
I think we had like precautions just in case I was like I'd have to do it from the hotel room remotely, which would have been horrible. But that's probably the closest client relationship we had because we have to spend like a week with them abroad, and then you do get to know them. You go out for dinner
every night.
That's probably the closest I've felt with like an agency and a client as well, and I think it made things so much better when you just.
When you bonded
you
as a unit,
you bond over dinner. You really trust each other. It's so much so we went for dinner like after the shooting routes, which we'd never done before. It felt a really like special project for us.
It's that's like a kind of old school kind of grown up commercial.
And it's like we've discussed here tonight. It's like going back to where we first met and what we were doing and like being there, and it was just like it was a really lovely moment to be making something of that scale in somewhere so beautiful, and you know, and like the whole team, like you'll know from shooting there, they're just like the loveliest crews you work with, and it was I didn't really want it to end. Really, we felt like we were there for a long time, and we also had we had a bit of time to enjoy ourselves as well, and I think the process went really well from client all the way through to production company.
Cast as well were like amazing.
Yeah.
We got really close.
It's all local cast, was it?
Yeah, all local cast. We did a casting, and then we got there again, and we did a casting again, and then we did like rehearsals with them.
Yeah, in this like church hall and
Yeah.
It was really funny because again, like you could almost test out camera shots and stuff. Like I was getting really close to. Like, I really wanted to do that close
during the rehearsals.
Yeah. I really wanted to get close. I was just doing it on my phone. I was like, just going on like 0.5x on your phone, and it's like the wide angle and getting really close, and it makes people's faces feel weird. And I would like film it, and then I would send it over to like the agency to see like if they think it's funny enough, because they get worried about like being so close to somebody's face and it being distorted, but it actually looks pretty.
It looks funnier. Yeah. Oftentimes I like to get close into a face now, and with large format cameras, you can get closer in than you before, because you don't have to go on such a wide lens, but you do get the angle of view of a wider lens. So that, and particularly a comedy, I mean, I think that that has a sort of added benefit, can make that kind of the performance feel a bit quirkier.
Yeah. And I think it was perfect for something like this where everybody's got their face tilted up, and then you want to see some gargling, I guess. So
yeah, cool. So are you working on anything at the moment? Have you got any irons in the fire?
Not together at the moment, unfortunately. We
Yeah.
always talk about it because we miss each other. We only really see each other for work related stuff, and we enjoy each other's company.
You still have those creative conversations, the brainstorming conversations?
Not so much, because I'm pitching less on music videos,
So
more on commercials.
now.
Yeah. Commercials is a bit more like straightforward in terms of like, when music videos almost you have to start from scratch, and you're like, what inspires you about this song or whatever. And he's very busy these days.
He is. He's a busy man. Yeah.
I think ideally, maybe it would be nice to. We discussed it ever so briefly as just maybe more of a passion project, maybe another short, like a headless, not related to it, but something along those lines would be nice to collaborate. But yeah, it's finding the time, sadly, is that university timetable was perfect for just making
feels
stuff.
like we're sort of going back to where it was, and like the frustration and of like creating that Frisco thing, and just like let's make something ourselves again.
Yeah.
That represents sort of like what we want to do. But I guess we're just waiting for the next project, and it's going to be exciting. So
Yeah, I'm sure there's one brewing somewhere.
sure
Yeah,
there might be a creative out there writing
Watching
it
this
down.
right now.
I mean, the thing that's was really charming about your story is the fact that you kind of, you went through film school together. You helped each other get into music videos. You helped each other get into commercials. You kind of had this parallel kind of paths, and you're still really good mates. Clearly, you still can bounce off each other for ideas and support each other's careers. A lot of filmmakers don't have that. They don't have that that sort of kind of support structure and that kind of that. You get director duos, but
which I always felt like jealous of, because I was like somebody that
but they have to share their rate. You guys don't. That's a big advantage.
But also I think we're maybe stronger in different areas. I'm not good at producing.
I mean, I've always been looking for kind of collaborators that I can feel emotionally connected to. I've always the joy for me doing this stuff is working with people you really like and really get on with, and you go on a journey together. It's like a kind of a saute, a mission that you go on together, and you come back kind of feeling that you've achieved something. And I think emotionally that's something that's I think it's part of the addiction of what we do. It's particularly short form, is we all go on these kind of intense trips, and then we kind of come out of it and have the memories of all of that.
We always say not that we want to give up, but kind of don't want to do this again when you're in it and it's a really bad shoot or something, especially when we're doing low budget music videos, and then it comes out and then you're happy with it and you see people's responses,
but then you remember it in a favorable way. They say that's a human psychology, that we always remember things better than actually how they were, which keeps us alive. Basically, it's like kind of nature's playing a trick on us. But
it's like you don't remember the hangovers when you're having a few beers. It's fun in the moment, and then you just.
But there is a certain, I mean, I don't know about you, but I get a kind of, I call it an afterglow, shoot afterglow. When the day after a shoot, I had this exhaustion feeling, like I've been out drinking or whatever, or partying, and I feel kind of buzzed up and exhausted at the same time, but this sort of feeling like something's been achieved. I think they say it's like a dopamine hit. It's like, like when you've achieved something in life, you get this dopamine hit. And I really do feel that on shoots, particularly short form, because you can go in for 2 days and come out and feel you've achieved something.
Yeah.
I think that's part of the addiction for me. But,
yeah. I wonder where, if we hadn't have striked up that bond on to make Headless, wonder what we'd both be doing now. Because I feel like you said it to me yesterday. It was like
I would still have gone into music videos and probably into commercials, but I think we supported each other to help us get there a bit sooner.
Yeah,
and make the work that we really wanted to do. Because maybe I was just going to end up doing work. Like I look back now, I'm kind of glad I got rejected for a lot of jobs that I pitched on back then, because that would have led me down like a different path where I wouldn't have been passionate. It would have felt like I'm just doing money jobs all the time.
Yeah, There was one day where I remember I was stood in Preston train station and we'd been pitching, like, it's obviously exhausting for a director writing pitch after pitch after pitch, and Yousef puts a hell of a lot of time into the look of the treatment as well. And I remember one day you were just like, I think I'm gonna just leave film alone, and my other ventures that are going well, it'll be that. And I said, this was just before Pretty Bird came around, and it was
just before I got signed, so I wanted to like give up.
I was like,
and it was like the sort of like calm before the storm.
Yeah, darkest hour just before the dawn.
That'll be it.
Yeah, I mean, that happens a lot with directors. I remember Simon Rattigan, when he got taken up by HLA, because he became really successful, but when he first went into commercials, he had a year of pitching and winning nothing. And I remember him saying to me, he said, I'm going to give this up. And then the next job got one, and then it changed his career. It was like Channel 4 job that he got in, and it literally changed his career. And then he didn't stop working for like 10 years. So it's always, you never know what's around the corner, man. It's always good to stay. I mean, that's the thing that's so important about this industry, I think, is having persistence and sticking with it. Because otherwise there's 100 other people that have more persistence than you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Should we just finish up by talking about where we would love our careers to go next? What kind of, how, if you could manifest the next stage of your career, what would it be?
Yeah, so for me, I still feel incredibly lucky for the reel that I've got and the age that I am.
How old are you?
28.
28, yeah, still super young.
He's even younger.
Are
Would
you really?
believe? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm 21.
No,
I'm 27.
Right.
Yeah, and I just want to keep doing what I'm doing, but like slowly getting bigger jobs, hopefully. Just keep climbing the ladder.
Keep chipping away.
I'm still getting like so excited when a new commercial comes in. I like rarely reject anything.
Well, that's good. The fact you're super excited, that's really good.
Yeah.
So hold on to that for as long as you can, man.
I just really love it, especially like if we get to do something abroad. There's like part of it where you do to do a bit of travel.
Yeah.
So
what a better way to see the world than to do it with a shoot. There's no, and that's why I actually don't go on holiday. And my girlfriends always just get really frustrated with me because I'm like, why would I go on holiday with you, spend loads of money and lie on the beach when I can be meeting a local kind of team of people and finding out about the culture in a way that we never get access to normally. So so anyway, my relationship's never lasted that long.
What about you, Jake?
I guess
you saw yourself in.
Yeah, I mean, I guess like similarly with Yousef, I'm super, super happy with the stuff I'm making and the people I'm meeting. But I guess like one thing that I'm trying to lean back into is what the stuff I was writing and directing before I moved to London was more social realism shorts. And I think it's hard to, if I was in a job I hated, you can just be like, I'm just, fuck that, I'm going to leave that now, I'm just going to do this thing. But because everything I'm making, I'm really proud of and I'm loving, that side of my writing of narrative has been put to one side. But I'm at a point now where I feel like I've found the right balance of not taking on too many jobs and I'm managing to carve out some time to get back into that. So for me, it's probably getting one of those shorts made. But other than that, I'm very happy and hopefully there's another job what we can do together.
They're usually like the most exciting ones.
Well, next time we all meet up and we have
hopefully
our part 2
with us.
we'll have a conversation about the short film or whatever we've just hopefully won loads of awards for. Well,
and a medal.
And a medal, a gold medal. Mate, it's been really great seeing you both.
Yeah, you too.
I mean, I haven't
It's been
seen
a
you.
while.
Yeah, I haven't seen you for. I mean, Jake, I worked with Jake recently, so but
yeah, we haven't seen. This has brought us.
Yeah, I haven't seen
together.
him since like the meal we had with the agency.
Yeah, for Robinsons. Yeah.
That was 6 months ago
Yeah.
or longer. I don't know.
I'm reminded of how much fun it was working with you as well.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Even though like that particular shoot wasn't
fun for you.
Yeah, the end product wasn't like that great. It was just like I love the experience of like working together. And it's like when I see your team as well, I'm just like, these are like friends that I don't like hang out with.
Yeah.
Like I might have forgotten their names or anything, but I recognize them and like it's so
still
easy to work with them.
Yeah, they're still the same team as well. Yeah, we're pretty. Yeah, we're like a little film family now. So it's good, man. Yeah. So look, thanks for coming on. It's been an absolute pleasure. Yeah, and it's great that the viewer's going to love seeing the work and seeing you break it down and understanding kind of a bit more about posts and how it all fits together. So yeah, that's really, really good. Cool, man.
Thank you.
Yeah, nice one.
Cheers.
Should we kiss?